All right, ladies and gentlemen. So here we are um, with this area of triangles assignment. The first five problems, there are 10 problems. The first five problems are fairly straightforward. They just want you to find the area of the triangle. And then the second set is going to ask us to find one of the factors in the area of a triangle formula. So we'll begin with number one. And for number one, we're going to make sure that we remember what the formula is. So the formula for the area of a triangle and we'll just put this little triangle symbol here, is almost always referred to as base times height and then you divide by 2. Okay, so divided by 2. And so the key things to remember are that you multiply the base times the height, and then you divide by 2, okay? If you ever forget the area of a triangle, just think of the area of a square or rectangle. And that would be like length times width. And just remember that every triangle is half of a rectangle or a square. So that's why we cut it in half. Okay. Anyway, sometimes the height is referred to as an altitude. Okay. So just if you see that word altitude, altitude means height. All right. And there's just a couple more preliminaries here. A lot of times these triangles are twisted around. Okay, like number one, the base is not the bottom. Okay, the way you find the base is you look for this right angle symbol right here, and then that line underneath it is the base. Okay, so that's a good way to remember where the base is. Now let's go ahead and do number one. So in this problem, we are given for the area, we are given that the base is 2 miles times a height of 1.7 miles. So this is a really big triangle. So we're going to multiply those and then divide by 2. Now, in this problem, there's a cool cancellation that we can do. So we notice that we have a 2 in the numerator and the denominator. We can cancel those out. And this also gives us a great explanation of why we express the answer in units squared, because we've got here miles times miles. So that's miles squared. So the answer is 1.7 miles squared. All areas are expressed in squared units, just like all volumes are expressed in cubed units. Just like all of our other problems, we'll put our answer in a box. And that's it. That's number 1. Okay, so now we're going to move on to number 2. Okay, so here we've got 5 yards. As the base. Times 3.7 yards. Divided by 2. There's a lot of ways to go about this. The direct approach would be to take 3.7 multiply by 5. That would give us 35 here. Carry the 3. And then 3 times 5 is 18. Pardon me, 15. Plus 3 is 18. So we end up with 1, 8, 5. But we have this decimal that would need to go there. So 18.5 yards squared. So we'll say the area equals 18.5 yards squared. Okay? And we'll put that in a box. Oh wait, I'm skipping a step. Okay, so sorry, we did the base times the height. Now we have to divide by 2. So let's go ahead and do that. So 2 goes into 18 9 times with no remainder. So we can just move on. 2 goes into 5 2 times. And 2 times 2 is 4, which leaves behind 1. We bring down another 0. And then 2 goes into 10 5 times. So it's 9.25. That's the area. So we'll write it over here. The area equals 9.25 yards squared. All right. Well, that's done with number 2. Move on to number 3. And if you've never seen a triangle like this before, that's the height right there. This is the altitude. And the base is 2 centimeters. Okay. So you don't need to worry about this here. They're just, what they're doing is they're projecting out so that they can get a right angle. Okay. So let's start working here. The area is equal to 2 times 3 point, remember, it's 2 centimeters times 3.8 centimeters divided by 2. We can cancel these out, and we end up with that centimeters squared illustrated very nicely there. So now the area is equal to 3.8 centimeters squared. And that's number 3. Okay, moving on, we have number 4. And so we have the area to the base of 4 centimeters times the height, 2.8 centimeters, divided by 2. I can do a little cancellation here, and I can make that a 2. And so now I just have to multiply 2 times 2.8. You want to be careful about your work, you might as well multiply it out. 8 times 2 is 16. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. And we have 56, but there's a decimal, so it's 5.6. And let's use a mathematical symbol here. I want you guys to learn these symbols. This is the mathematical symbol for therefore, okay? It's 3 dots, like that. So, therefore, and the reason we use those symbols is so we don't have to write out THEREFORE. Therefore, the area
Jesselyn Coker, can you go to Miss Martin's room, please?
equals 5.6 centimeters squared. Okay. All right, so that was number 4. We're coming up on the last normal area problem. Okay, so here the area is equal to the base of 5 yards. Make that look like a 5. There. 5 yards times the height of 2.9 yards divided by 2. Okay, so I suppose first things first, we would multiply 2.9 times 5. 9 times 5 is 45. Carry the 4. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. So we got 145, except for that decimal that makes it 14.5. Therefore, the area is 14.5. I'm doing it again, aren't I? Okay. I got to take 14.5 and divide it by 2. I apologize. I'm a little tired. Okay, so 2 goes into 14 7 times cleanly, no remainder. And then we've already been down this road before with the 5 and the 2, so we know it's going to be 7.25. So, therefore, the area is 7.25 yards squared. Okay. Now in Kuta, I can't remember if they're having us round to the nearest tenth or not. Let's check. It doesn't say. So I would accept 7.25, but I would also accept 7.3 if you were to round up. But let's go with 7.25. Okay. And now we're moving on to the second part where they give us the area and they ask us to find either the base or the height. Okay, so we'll start on number 6 here in a second. All right, so let's take a look at number 6. Now, in number 6, we're given the area and we are given the height or altitude, as it's sometimes called. And we are asked to find the base. Okay? And just to remind people, the reason I know this is the base, like what and why this is not the base, even though it's visually, it looks like the bottom of the triangle to the person staring at the image. The base of this triangle is whatever line is below that right angle symbol. So that would be this line. Okay? All right. So with that in mind, area equals base times height divided by 2. So I'm going to write the formula out and include the information that we have. But before I do that, I want to point out that this information right here is what we call extraneous or irrelevant, like extra. Okay. Now, this triangle looks like an isosceles triangle. Okay. But it's missing these symbols. Okay, so if those symbols were present, then I would know it was an isosceles triangle, and I could say I wouldn't have to do any work. I could say, oh, it's 4.4 because these would be the same. But we're not told that for sure, and so we can't make that assumption. And so we're actually just going to ignore this so it doesn't confuse us. And now we only have 2 numbers visible. So here we go. Area equals base, which we don't know. And so because we don't know it, we're going to use the variable letter x. Okay, base times height, which we do know, altitude, and that's going to be 2.6 yards. And then we divide by 2. And the thing is, we actually know the area. 5.6 square yards. So we can even erase the left side and put 5.6. We'll just worry about the units later. Okay. We're actually going to find yards, not yards squared. So here we are. Okay, so our goal is to get x by itself. And the best way to accomplish that is to start by multiplying the 2 out of this denominator on the right. And that means we need to multiply both sides by 2. Okay? And why is that helpful? Well, because it's really helpful to cancel that 2 out. Okay, so I got to do a little math on the right. 5.6 times 2. I get 12, 1, 10, 11. And I have a decimal here. So it's 11.2. So we're going to rewrite the equation here. 11.2 equals, and I'm going to take the liberty of writing 2.6x, because that's kind of how it's written in algebra. The number comes before the variable. It's understood, this multiplication symbol, it's still there. We just don't write it. Okay, so, following along with the normal course of business, we would divide both sides by 2.6. The opposite of multiplication. Okay, so let's divide both sides by 2.6. And that was very helpful because now these canceled completely. And I now have isolated x by itself on the right. And now I just need to find the quotient of 11.2 and 2.6. So we're going to do that in side work. Over here I have 11.2. But I'm not going to, well, I'll show you. So 11.2, and we're going to make a division sign, long division sign. Okay, and then we have 2.6 as our divisor. Well, we can't perform division this way. That's not how this works. So we move our decimal place over. Okay, so we have 26 as the divisor, and then to keep things legit, we do it here as well. So now I'm not dividing 11.2 by 2.6, I'm dividing 112 by 26. And what's going on in my head right now is I'm thinking, well, there's 4 quarters in a dollar. Okay, so 25 cents times 4 is 100 cents. So 26 times 4 is going to be more than 100 cents, but definitely couldn't do 26 times 5 because that would be more than 112 cents if I'm thinking about it like money. So I know that the number that I'm going to put right here as the first term of my quotient is 4. Okay? So now we can actually check to see what that is. And we see we get 104, and that should make you feel good because it's we would not have been able to fit another 26 into 112. Okay, so now we're just subtracting here. And that's going to be 8, right? We'll do it the right way. 8. And now we sort of invent a 0. Now I'm trying to figure out how many times 26 goes into 80. Well, 20 goes into 84 times. So it's not going to be 4. It's going to be less than 4. I know 20 times 3 is 60 because 2 times 3 is 6. So 20 times 3 is 60. And then 6 times 3 is 18. So that would be 78. So I better put 3. And we have a decimal point here. Okay. So the next term is a 3. And it's 78. Okay. And now this is the moment of truth. So we got 20 as a remainder. Now 26 is bigger than 20. Okay. So we're going to have to bring down another 0. But when we do that, whenever you get in a situation like that, you put a 0 here. Okay. So why is that important? Because this is a 0, or I should say, because it's a number that is less than 5. Okay. That means I'm not going to round up the 3. All right. So I can just stop. I don't have to actually do that. Just write 4.3. Okay. So we can just say 4.3 yards. What are we going to say? Base equals. And we should not use that symbol. We should properly use the base approximately equals 4.3 yards. We use that squiggly sign to indicate approximate. And put it in a box, red box. Okay, and that was number 6. And we are now moving on to number 7. All right, number 7. This time we're trying to find the height. So it gives us the area, which we can just write as 4.8. Equals base times height divided by 2. Okay, so the base is 4.4. And the height is unknown, so we're just going to write x. And again, and if it's confusing, there's that multiplication is happening, even though we don't write it out. All right, and divided by 2. We cannot forget. Okay, so we're sort of unwinding this. Well, you know, there's a lot of opening chess moves here, but I like this one. I can divide 4.4 by 2 and get 2.2 up here. just an easier number to work with. So the 2's gone on the bottom, the denominator, and I have 4.8 equals 2.2 x. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is divide both sides by 2.2. Only this time I'm going to use a different method of division. I'll use fractional division instead of long division. Okay, so what do I mean by fractional division? Well, what I mean is I'm going to take 4.8 and turn it into an improper fraction. 4.8 equals 4 and 8/10, which can be reduced down to 4/5. So 4 and 4/5. And then 2.2 equals 2 and 2/10, which can be reduced down to 2 and 1/5. And to make these improper, we multiply the denominator times the whole number plus the numerator and write that over the denominator. So this is going to be 24/5. And this is going to be 11/5. Okay, so why was that helpful? Well, here's the 24/5, which is the 4.8. And then when I divide, if I'm going to divide by 11/5, what I'm really doing is multiplying by 5/11. And that gives me the opportunity to cancel out those 5s. And so I'm left with 24/11 equals x. So we're going to have to divide 24 by 11. Well, it goes in twice. That's 22. And the remainder there would be 2. Put the dot for the decimal point, invent a 0. Well, 11 goes into 20 one time. 1 times 11 is 11. Okay. This is going to be 90. And now we know that whatever is going to be 8 is the next term. So we can just stop, halt the process because 8 is greater than 5, which means I'm going to round the 1 up to a 2. All right. So my x is going to be 2.2 approximately equal to x. Okay, and that would be the height. So I suppose if we were doing this, we could say height to 2.2 miles. And we'll put that in a box. Okay, and we're going to call it good there for number 7. All right, so here we are on number 8. And it looks like on number 8, they want us to find the base. Once again, they're giving us this 2.8 yards, but I have no indication that this is an isosceles triangle. So I don't care about that. We'll just mark it out. And so we're going to start by saying 4.4 equals 2.1 x. So in other words, the x is the base, 2.1 is the height, and there's that multiplication there. So we're going to divide by 2.1. And we get to cancel. Okay. And now we have this task here. And I think it would be easy to do it the long division way. 4.4 divided by 2.1. Of course, we'd have to move the decimal and this decimal. So 21 going into 44 2 times. They give me 42. Then I have 2 left over, bring down the 0. And now I see my first term after the decimal is going to be a 0. And now I've got to think about 200. And so if this number is bigger than 5, I'll have to round that 0 up to a 1. And for sure it's going to be bigger than 5 because 20 times 5 is 100. So this is going to be closer to like 9 or something. So I don't even need to compute it because I know it's going to be bigger than 5. So what I'm going to write is, I'll write that this, we'll just put over here something greater than 5. All right, that's all that matters. And so we're going to round up the 0 to a 1. And so we're going to say that the base is approximately equal to 2.1. And I just realized that I made a mistake. We are going to, we're going to back up here. I bet most of you saw the mistake and probably are screaming at the computer right now. Okay, let's go back here. So the mistake occurred very early on in the problem. I had 2.1 yards, okay, times something we don't know, right? Times the base. And so we said we were going to go ahead with this 2.1 implicit multiply x. What I forgot to do is divide by 2. So the area equals base times height divided by 2. I didn't do that. And so that's why That's why that ended up being 2.1 the way it did. All right, but now we're on track. We caught our mistake. That's all that matters. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2 as a way of eliminating those 2's right there. Okay. And so now I'm going to have 8.8 equals 2.1x. Again, there's multiplication happening there. So we're going to still divide both sides by we're still going to divide both sides by 2.1. And we get to cancel. We'll have x equals, and then here we go again. So now we're back to where we were. We're going to say 8.8 divided by 2.1. And we're going to move that decimal. Okay. So how many times does 21 go into 88? Well, 20 goes into 80 4 times. So 21 would go into 88 4 times. So my first quotient number is 4. And then I'm going to have to put a period there because the next number is going to be after the decimal. And that's going to be 84. Okay. Which means my next term is going to be 40. Right? And so 21 only goes into 40 once. Because 20 times 2 is 40. So 21 times 2 would be 42. So it's too big. So we're just going to have to put 21, which means we're going to end up with 19 as our remainder. Okay. Now comes the obvious, because we're going to drop that 0 down there and say, okay, does 21 go into 190 more than 5 times? Yes. Yes, because again, 21 times 5 would be 105. So I'm already there. So I know for sure that this number, whatever this number is, I could care less. I know that it's going to be greater than 5. Okay? So as a result, I'm going to round the 1 up to a 2. And that's all I'm significant figures here tells me I only need to go 1 decimal place. So we'll say base equals approximately 4.1 yards. Pardon me, 4.2 yards. Okay. So that's it. And we're 2 away from done. This confuses a lot of students when they see these dotted lines sort of going off the triangle. They think, okay, do I need to find out what this is or something? No, you don't. It's just that they needed to go out this far to make that right angle right there. Okay. So we don't, those red dotted lines, they are not part of the triangle. So this is the base right there. Okay. So we're trying to find the base. Once again, we're given information that we don't need. Okay, that's totally useless. All right. So we're going to take the area, 3.2, set it equal to 2.4 x. Again, there's that implicit multiplication. But then we put x, the variable, okay? And this time we're not going to forget to divide by 2. And I'm going to go ahead and just take the opportunity here to take 2.4 divided by 2 in my head and say, well, 2 goes into 2 one time, no remainder, point, and then 2 goes into 4 two times, so 1.2. So I just made life a little easier. Now I've got 3.2 equals 1.2 x. And we'll do a fraction division this time. But first we'll show that we're going to divide both sides by 1.2. And our favorite thing to do is cancel. So cancel, cancel. And now we're going to take the time and write out 3.2 equals 3 2/10, which is 3 1/5. Okay. And then 1.2 equals 1 2/10, which equals 1 1/5. Okay, time for a little improper fractioning. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 1 is 16 over 5. So this equals 16/5. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. 6/5. And the dividend here, the thing being divided, is the 16 over 5. The divisor is 1.2. And so instead of saying divide by 6/5, we're going to say multiply by 5/6. Remember, keep, flip, and change, all right? Or not change this from division to multiplication. Keep the first one, flip the second one, and change from division to multiplication. Okay, cancel, cancel. So we're just left with x is approximately equal to whatever 16 over 6 is. And we're going to do that division out to the 100th place so we can find out whether we need to round the 10th place. But 6 goes into 16 two times. Okay. 12. That leaves 4. And we bring down that 40. And so then it would be 6. And then that would give me 36. And it's going to go on forever. 6. It's going to repeat, see, because this is going to be a 4. And that, so it's 2 2/3. So you have x is like literally equal, not squiggly equal, but equal to 2 2/3. Because 0.666666, that's 2/3. So 2 2/3. But if we were going to round it, for example, because Kuta wanted the decimal, we could say 2.7 or 2.67, whatever they want, or something like that. But that's going to be the base. So we'll just say the base. Let's say that they only went out to the 10th place. the base is approximately equal to 2.7 yards. We'll put that in a box. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are we ready to finish this assignment? Yes. Okay, so this time they want the height. So first of all, let's get rid of the useless information. So what have we got here? We've got 7.7 equals 4.8 times something divided by 2. And just like before, because 4 and 8 are such obvious multiples of 2, we can just divide 4.8 by 2 in our heads. Say, well, 2 goes into 4 2 times with no remainder, and then into 8 4 times. So that allows us to go ahead and just get rid of that. And so now I've got 7.7 equals 2.4x. And I'm going to go ahead with, I'm going to do regular long division here, because we'd end up with some pretty big numbers if we did the other way. All right, so remember, folks, you can't divide 7.7 by 2.4, but you can divide 77 by 24. Okay, we all know 24 times 2 is 48. And we know that 24 times 3 is 72. So the first number is 3. Is that 72? And what's left is a 5. Okay. And we bring down a 0. Remember, 24 times 2 is 48, so go ahead and put a 2 there. It's going to be 48. We just need one more digit here to check if we have to round that 2 up. And we are not going to have to round the 2 up because this is a 2 remainder. We bring down a 0. 24 won't go into 20, so we got to bring down another 0, which means the next digit is a 0. And then who cares what the next digit is? So it's 3.2. We don't need to round. Okay. The fact that this was a 20 made it to where we don't, for sure didn't. So what we'll write is the height is approximately equal to 3.2 feet. And we will put that in a red box. Like so. Okay, and I'd just like to look over our work after we're done, because it always seems kind of amazing that we did so much. It's a lot of work. Good job on this assignment. And of course, if you found this video helpful, it would help me for you to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. The engagement with the video makes the YouTube algorithm very happy. And be sure to hit that notification bell so you're always alerted when I release new video tutorials like the one you just watched. Thank you.